Hello, I'm David Malott, President of Christian Theological Seminary, and I am delighted to introduce you to our 2020 Faith and Action Grant recipients. Each year, we provide grants to Central Indiana faith communities and organizations that are collaborating to deploy lasting solutions for breaking the cycle of poverty in our community. This grant program is part of the Faith and Action Project, which was launched in 2016 to inspire, connect, and empower organizations and congregations focused on moving families out of poverty for the long term. I hope that the stories of this year's grant recipients will inspire and encourage you as you consider your role in the fight against poverty in Central Indiana.
With its $25,000 Faith in Action grant, PACE, Public Advocates and Community Reentry, is expanding 3 cornerstone programs that guide people towards self-sufficiency through employment, addiction recovery, and housing stability. An organization that works with people re-entering community from incarceration, PACE has also forged a partnership with Evolve to train men who have graduated from the PACE program to serve as mentors for young people in Evolve's program.
So our whole holistic approach here at PACE is that when an individual comes in, we assess them based on everything that's happening. So they may come in and say, I need employment, but we're going to assess them. We're going to figure out what else is going on, and we're going to make sure that the service delivery matches all those needs. We don't want to get someone in a job and then find out a month later that there were several other things that were barriers in their life. What the community doesn't understand about people coming out of incarceration and why they need a second chance is that many of them have been victims themselves. They've been victims of trauma, they've been victims of systematic racism, and they deserve a chance to live a life free of crime, self-sufficient, and take care of their families. So through the Faith in Action grant, we're able to continue to provide holistic services to help each individual achieve their goals, and we're also able to expand that to really focus on some life skills, trauma, and giving back to the community through mentorship through our partnership with Evolve. So we're really excited this year to be working with the Evolve program, which is part of the Hovey Street Church. Through that, we're going to be able to train our clients to be mentors, to mentor youth.
Well, the community at large would benefit from the collaboration because I think it will change the narrative of the stigma that Black men have in this community. So with Black men mentoring young Black men, we'll change that. I think Black men will be able to be seen in a positive and powerful light.
I think the beautiful part of this project is that many of the individuals that we're serving probably never believed that they had anything to give in a mentoring relationship, that anyone would allow them to mentor anyone. And so for them to be able to see what they have inside of them and how they can change someone else's life, I think is going to be the most beautiful piece of this project, to watch them evolve in this Evolve partnership, to watch them evolve and watch them change the lives of young boys across our city.
With its $15,000 Faith in Action Project grant, Evolve will work with PACE to train male graduates of PACE programs to serve as volunteer mentors for young men engaged with Evolve. A ministry of the Hovey Street Church of Christ, Evolve works to break the cycle of poverty by providing transformational resources, opportunities, and experiences that can expand the vision of young men and address mental and physical impoverishment.
And we believe that we fill the gap by teaching our young boys how to become leaders. One of the things that we believe is missing in our community is the ability and the desire to lead. If we are strategic and intentional about developing young leaders out of these African-American male boys who are between the ages of 12 to 17 and trying to find themselves, right? As we continue to develop them into leaders, then they in turn develop other leaders. And then what happens in these communities of despair and blight that have been marginalized and oppressed in certain ways, leadership becomes a normal conversation. It becomes normal now to find solutions for the problems. It becomes normal to see young boys and young men leading their communities. You imagine a culture of young leaders walking through their communities saying, how does this blighted house become a foundational house? How do we take this land and develop it into something? How do we create urban farming in our community, because we're leaders, we're competent enough to do it, and we're building generations of leaders. This collaboration with PACE is going to be fun. I'm excited about it. What I anticipate is that we will develop, grow, build. Out of this relationship, there will be a plethora of Black men who come out saying, I want to mentor young boys. I want to change their lives.
My experience with Evolve is, how should I put this? Extraordinary. So before Evolve, I was basically terrible, destructive, and out of bounds. In a word, in a sense, out of bounds. And after Evolve, you could say I was found, more full of life, and just feel like a kid again, basically. Just gave me that enthusiasm to wake up every day and not wake up on the wrong side of the bed, wake up on the right side, and just be full of life, full of joy.
You could feel my presence in the room, like I'm happy, you know, you can know I'm there, opposed to before I met Evolve and Mr. Donnell Howard. I was like a quiet kid, hoodie on, you know, you wouldn't even I'm just a goofy dude, but now I'm just like positive. I'm upbeat and positive. I guess it made a positive change in my life. Well, some of the obstacles that kids face that come here, because they come talk to me personally, some of them, like me, is like a big brother. I see myself as a big brother to them too. So I do one-on-one time a lot. Is their parents. Some of them are single parents. Some of them have abusive parents. Some of them don't have parents at all and they got grandparents and no type of real guidance. So they lack guidance. Other obstacles, just lacking drive for themselves.
And so we're breaking that cycle down of African-American males who are constantly on the wrong side of all the stats, constantly and consistently on the wrong side of the prison stats, constantly and consistently on the wrong side of the dropout rates and the poor education and the mental health issues, constantly and consistently on the wrong side of all the poverty. So faith has been put into action and made it happen, and the community now becomes better. The community is changed because those young boys are not breaking in homes. They're not vandalizing property. They're not being disrespectful to their mothers and their little brothers and sisters. They're not skipping school. They're not doing these things. They're moving now to a place where they start to lead. That's the power of collaboration to me, what I see. Because we can't just do this by ourselves. There's too many problems for us to think I can do this by myself.
Faith in Indiana will use its $30,000 Faith in Action grant to build community support to enact, implement, and optimize public programs that reduce incarceration and crime in Indianapolis. Championing solutions that direct people with substance use disorders or mental illness into treatment rather than jail, and that seek to reduce crime through strategies other than incarceration. Faith in Indiana works to address poverty by reducing jail and prison populations, making communities safer, and allowing people who might otherwise be incarcerated to find and keep jobs.
Well, our community needs to understand that in order to affect lasting change, you have to really leave a legal legacy. Policies have to be changed so that there is leverage to ensure that justice is being served. And we need to understand about the prison industrial complex is the fact that it is a profit-driven industry. And so they have an incentive to ensure that there is a poor community, that there is an oppressed community, really a hopeless community that would turn to crime in order to meet their most basic needs. Because when they turn to crime, then they wind up being penalized. They wind up being controlled by the prison industrial complex itself. And so it's not an industry that's really has a desire or an incentive to rehabilitate. and to empower people. The entire industry itself is built on the backs of people's pain and people's oppression. And so people have got to stand up and recognize that, these kind of changes are necessary in criminal justice reform, because we want to make sure that people are empowered, that people are given hope, given opportunities to get out. And so, that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to be able to partner with Faith in Indiana, because it is an organization that is working on a policy level, but is also working on a community level to empower members of the community through community organizing, to rise up and to address some of the issues and concerns that exist in their community. It's one thing for somebody outside of the community to step in thinking that they can help, even if they mean well. But it's another thing for people in the community to be empowered, who come face to face with the issues and the challenges connected to the criminal justice system, and who can help us find some solutions, and who can be empowered and supported to help, make those solutions a reality. The impact of incarceration is generational. The impact of incarceration is trauma that families and individuals experience, and it can go from one generation to the next. It impacts the family economically. It impacts the family dynamic. It takes parents away from their children. And those traumas continue to perpetuate themselves for generation after generation.
What makes Faith in Indiana great is that everyone in the community, whether you've been involved in the organization for 2 days or 2 years, has a voice in the vision and the future for their own community. Faith in Indiana is about building the collective power of people, and together we can do incredible things.
With its $30,000 Faith in Action grant, Inglewood CDC will drive deeper relationships between community partners and 2 neighborhood schools, Purdue Polytechnic High School and Paramount School of Excellence. Specifically, Inglewood CDC's grant will help with hiring of a new community school coordinator, whose job will be to ensure that Inglewood community resources are leveraged to their fullest to support student and family success.
So Inglewood Community Development Corporation has worked for the last 5 years in renovating the PR Mallory campus into a new school campus for 2 new schools that will serve 1,000 students and their families. Those 2 schools are Purdue Polytechnic High School downtown, as well as Paramount Inglewood Middle School. Now, sort of the goal with this new program is a new staff position of a community school coordinator that will help Purdue Polytechnic High School, Paramount School of Excellence Middle School connect better to this community in new events, in supports for students, in housing for families, a number of sort of anti-poverty mitigation strategies to both to connect them to community and to help improve their quality of life in a number of ways.
It's difficult, it's not an easy life that these kids are living. I know some of these kids are going through trauma at home, and they might be going through domestic violence, they might be going through deaths in the family, they might be going through all these types of different things, just gang violence. These things sometimes there can be a blockage in their mind of having to, and trying to get past that hurdle so I can succeed in school and just take my next test. But can I take my next test because I'm going through what I'm going through at home? The biggest byproduct is just being able to see, like, oh my goodness, like I've helped this family out and I've helped these children out, and now they can do the same thing with their next children and the next generation and whatnot.
I'm very excited about the long-term impacts here. And the end goal is for student success and to kind of get them to college, be it Purdue University or otherwise. What we're hoping to do is support the student and the family in a number of ways for them to achieve the goals that they have, both for the student as well as the family. And so again, that might be workforce development supports for the parents, that might be quality, affordable rental housing, home ownership opportunities, you name it, it could be a number of things. But again, the long-term impact is so exciting for student success and then what that could mean for their future.
As our grant recipients have shown us, there is not a single solution to poverty. But there are common denominators to the most effective efforts: compassion, innovation, dedication, collaboration, and an inherent belief that everyone deserves the opportunity to live a life free from the tyranny of poverty. Driven by the justice that is divinely threaded into each of us, we work not only to relieve the suffering caused by poverty, but also to eliminate the causes of poverty. I'm grateful for your participation in this work and look forward to seeing the difference we can make together.